When OP finds himself in a sexless marriage, he starts looking at pictures online, and then starts getting flirty with another woman. While this causes trouble in his relationship, things seem to be getting better, at least until his wife decides to reveal a few secrets of her own. To find out how this story ends, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
After the birth of my son in 2018, my wife, who's 34, went through postpartum depression, but she hid it so well that I never knew she was suffering. Her depression led to feelings of disgust with her body, a sense of androgyny, a loss of self, and the idea that she was a milking machine. During this time, our sex life came to an end, and the first time we tried having sex after childbirth, she was in so much pain that we had to stop, and I respected her wishes for me to not initiate anything going forward. This went on for about a year, until I eventually tried again, but the feelings of unsexiness came, and she'd rebuke any attempt I made, and since she would never initiate sex, that was the end of that. In light of this, I did something stupid. I started looking online, searching for the type of women I wish my wife could go back to being. I saved numerous photos of girls in sexy lingerie on my phone, and these women were dark feminine types, the kind of woman my wife used to be and could be again. At least that's what I thought. I never did anything sexual, and I wasn't talking to or wanting to meet up with women, but my wife found the photos and confronted me. I had to be frank with her. I told her that I was missing sex, and I wanted to get this type of love back, and she responded by saying that I betrayed her at her lowest point, desiring women who were the total opposite of what she was at that time. I felt embarrassed and ashamed, but this didn't stop me from doing it again. About a year later, we still weren't having sex, and she still didn't feel good about her femininity. I became so used to not getting action in the bedroom, and getting turned down whenever I tried. I was blasé about the whole thing. The thing is, though, we had a son and we were good parents and good company for each other, so we stayed together. We still had love in our life, but there was no romance. One day on Twitter, someone slid into my DMs and we started to talk. Soon enough, though, the conversations became sexual because she was a sexual person, and I was starved for attention. It was pathetic how easily I fell into it. This woman was 5,000 miles away, so nothing would ever happen, but there were flirty messages and the sharing of personal kinks and fetishes. This whole thing lasted a couple of weeks until again I was found out. I felt incredibly stupid and embarrassed, but we talked and eventually decided to work on our marriage. I stopped looking at the things I wished I could have again, and focused my attention on my family and my wife, the most important person in my life, and I wanted to prove that I was a good husband. This all happened back in 2020, and during the next 3 years, nothing else happened. I was completely faithful, devoted, caring, and supportive. We both had a career change in 2021. She got a new job as an executive assistant, and I got one in academic recruitment. We quickly realized that this would impact the time we could spend with our son, so I took on the majority of that responsibility, and she fast-tracked her career, because out of the two of us, hers would take less time. Finally, things started to get better for us. We spent more time together, talked more, and shared our feelings. Still, though, the intimacy was lacking. I was using humor a lot to deflect my insecurity, and she was losing her patience, thinking that I wasn't trying hard enough, and soon enough, in 2023, things would change again. We started having sex more, she discovered her sex drive, and became the feminine person she used to be before. I thought we made a breakthrough, but I was wrong. In April of 2023, my wife admitted to having an affair. She told me she was sleeping with a man from work and had been doing so for 5 months. During the affair, she developed feelings for him, but they had to end it because her coworker got his wife pregnant. I was angry. I asked if she did this because I betrayed her before, and she said it was part of it. She had found her groove with this guy because when they looked at each other, she felt wanted, and she didn't feel that way with me. Instead, she felt like I didn't want her. She knew that I loved and adored her, but thought that I didn't want her. I blew up and said that it was impossible for me to express that because every time I tried to show her that kind of affection, I was rejected. She was lying about the times she was at work or had to stay late, and all her interactions with this guy were in the office and over WhatsApp. I saw a lot of the incriminating material she showed me, and it looked like they were planning to go away with each other under the pretense of a work event. I respected that she admitted all this, and after a few weeks of coldness, we started talking again. I wanted to forgive her because I love her so much, so we decided to give it another go. It wasn't long before she was having another affair, though, this time, with an ex from 15 years ago. This all started when he slid into her DMs, and to get away from me to meet up with her ex, she told me she was going to a party. This was outright deception from the get-go because she was actually at a hotel with her ex. She even told me that she wanted me to visit my parents with our son so she could get some work done. And when I left, she invited her ex over. When I got back the next day, I knew something was up. Things in the house were wrong, it was too clean, and certain items were missing or out of place. There were things on our streaming watch list that I know she would never watch. I was super suspicious, so I looked at her phone and I found a boatload of filth. There were photos, text messages, and a list of how to tidy the house after her ex had left. I was angry, and I barely spoke to her for the rest of the week. I just couldn't trust her. She even suggested that we should get some space so we could figure things out, and kept motivating me to go away with our son. In the end, I ended up going to my parents, but before I left, I bought a small recording device and put it in our bedroom. It turns out that her ex was there all night and most of the day. She lied to me again, telling me that nothing was going on. She would tell me that she was busy doing stuff, but the truth is, she was sleeping with her ex, doing the kinkiest things imaginable. When I got home, I had to lay it all out. I wanted to know why our marriage couldn't work and what's the point of going on. She told me that she hasn't been sexually attracted to me for 6 years, and the sex she has with me is transactional. She does it to keep me from leaving. She wanted to stress that it wasn't because I'm unattractive. It's just that she can't think of me sexually anymore. Apparently, I'm a great guy. We're good parents, best friends, and she loves me. She doesn't want to lose me, but doesn't want to be intimate with me anymore. I can't forgive this feeling of betrayal. Even though I betrayed her first, she betrayed me so much more. Also, she didn't even use protection with these guys, which makes things just that much worse.
While OP having pictures of other women on his phone wasn't necessarily cheating, it wasn't a good look. But when he started the whole thing on Twitter, he crossed a line. Being in a sexless marriage would be a nightmare, at least for me, and I'd want to call it quits as soon as possible. If your partner doesn't want to have sex, that's fine. But for me, I don't see why I have to live by those constraints. At that point, it's much better and healthier to find someone you're on the same page with. When OP's wife got physical with another man, despite not really giving him any action in the bedroom, that spoke volumes about what she really wanted. For me, it was pretty clear-cut that this relationship was doomed. If your partner's doing stuff for someone else that they won't do for you, it kind of suggests that they've checked out of the relationship. Anyway, let's hop into the comments section to see what's going on.
Abbreviations Old says, OP, I humbly suggest that you sideline her and think only about yourself. This is a hypocritical woman. The one who resides in the dark, acts sweet, but is conniving and self-serving. You communicated your needs only to be discarded. I've known a few of these types. They'll refuse intimacy with their husbands, saying they've got postpartum issues. But they'll give it all to another man, and when they do, they'll say, I thought you didn't find me pretty. Personally, I'd just end this facade of a marriage. Sad instruction. The OP responds, we're now at the point of discussing what we need to do. Do we redefine our relationship as friends who are raising a child so he has a healthy environment and can still share in the wider family experience? Which is what she wants, or do we go our separate ways? Because being with her reminds me too much of what I lost, and it's killing me. Even though I know this will mean my kid's just another child of divorced parents who don't talk, should we try and redefine our marriage? Do we forget that all this stuff ever happened and stay together, knowing that sex will never be a part of our lives? Just so you know, this is also one of her suggestions. I'm at the end of my rope, and it's impossible for me to see anything good. I don't feel like I'll ever be loved or desired again, and my life as I knew it has been a lie. Admirable Ad says, she's basically trying to force you to stay, but on her terms, as she keeps banging other guys as you watch your child. This is a cuckold relationship, and her kink is to humiliate you. Your son will grow up in this dynamic, so you only really have one choice, which is to divorce her. She can go be with her affair partner who will use her and dump her. You can go out and find a new partner, someone who honors you with love and respect. The 50% of the time in which you have your son, he'll get to see a real loving relationship. Put your wife on a court-approved parenting app as you did most of the parenting. Chances are you will get more parental privileges. I suggest that you go for full custody, with her only having visitation, and take her for spousal and child support. Sorry, OP, but you've been allowing her to dictate everything, so please take control. That young boy is looking at you as a role model, so don't allow this relationship dynamic to continue. You will regret it when your boy thinks it's okay to be abused like you have been. Original King says, I think you really nailed it. It sounds like she offered for him to stay together with no intimacy while she plays the role of the hot wife or cuckoldress. That's so messed up. Jay Burn My Ass says, she redefined the relationship for you. If there's no attraction or trust, there's no relationship. The last thing you should do is rug sweep the affair in the hope that your child can have a two-parent home. That will lead to resentment and hatred on your end, and your son will believe that this is how marriage is supposed to be. If you truly think the marriage is over, file for divorce. Don't worry about how this might affect your son right now because kids are resilient. They can and will adjust. Post Narcissism says, stop giving her power and what she wants. You need to stand up for your child and for yourself. She'll eventually have him around your kid, or you'll be cucked into oblivion. You're going to raise your child with a woman who can't be trusted. Is that what you want for your child? Dragon Master says, she lost the ability to negotiate any sort of relationship with you when she betrayed you and destroyed your family. You need to figure out what the best option is for you for the rest of your very long life, so you can be the best father for your child. What your wife wants should no longer factor into your thoughts on how best to live your life for yourself and your child. Don't fall into illogical thinking, believing that compromising on your health and well-being will somehow benefit your son. Further interaction with someone who's willing to cheat on you in such an awful way will be a detriment to your mental health. Corey says, I've done this and seen it done as I lived with my partner after we divorced. It's only workable if you're truly friends and not angry with each other. If sex is important to you, your marriage is over, so you're now looking at co-parenting with a friend. But the truth is, she hasn't been any kind of friend to you, let alone your best friend. Best friends look out for each other, they don't lie, cheat, and betray. She deceived you for years by saying she wasn't feeling feminine, when she really just wasn't feeling you. That's a betrayal all on its own. Please divorce and establish separate households for the sake of yourself and your child. Trust me, I've seen this before.
This is a heartbreaking story, and what OP's going to do moving forward is unclear, but I wish him and his son all the best. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.